Well now, what have we here? What we have here, my friends, is a functional computer. I'm going to slow the RAM clock down here. You can see so the computer clock is flashing at rather slow, maybe 2 Hertz at the moment. You can see the address now. You can see the address here is actually mimicked, hopefully, by what's going on here. And I believe it is, yes, it is indeed. I can see them all here if you just carefully. Now, I'm afraid the address pins, which are these ones over here, are rather dim, but they are indeed mirroring each other, and we have data showing on these small pins over here. So what's happening here is that we have a working computer with a parallel adapter. Now, I may eventually add a serial adapter as well. I have headers right here for the data bus, so I can add 2 additional cards to this thing with the correct data bus. We have power going from here through to the main board. We've got our read and write pins and all that kind of stuff with our technical CE sharp, WE sharp, CE2 and OE sharp going through these 4 pins right here, which are either connected to positive or negative. Now at some point I will actually hook them up to the correct pins over here for read and write. There's actually only one I need, which is the I think it's CE2 that needs to be hooked up to the right pin on the CPU, but I'm not worried about that right now. I just want to set it to read and see what happens. So of course it's reading complete junk off the CPU at the moment, but off the RAM, sorry, at the moment, but we can actually see everything happen in real time. We can see the computer clock going. I'm going to speed it right up now so it's going as fast as it possibly can. There we go, and we can see it trying to read data and going, hey, this completely bogus information on the RAM is really interesting. I have no idea what's stored on there. But yeah, it's hopping along quite well. You can see it's putting a bit of drain on the power supply. That's actually set to 5 volts. But yeah, it's I'm absolutely stoked. That's all I can say here. Now this took a variety of not a variety, just a long time to get right. I had originally soldered the RAM here around the wrong way. I had to unsolder it, and then I also worked out when I was trying to put it in that hey, it's not wide enough, so I had to actually do a bit of jankiness over here, trying to get the width one wider without actually widening the holes it's plugged into. So it's actually got 2 sockets mounted on top of each other with wiring from cut-offs on the LED and the resistor pins, hooking them together, but you know, it works. Over here we have our NOT logic gate. Now that's to control read and write from the pins. So it will go from the read pin into there through that. If it's not or not, then basically when this is not sending a read pin, that means this is going to be sending a yes read pin, which, because it needs to be high going into the RAM chip. I'm not explaining this very well at all, but more or less basically when this is a low to tell it don't read, it needs to have a high going into the RAM, and vice versa, which is why I've got a NOT gate there. This extra LED here is actually for address 16, which of course this thing won't support. It supports address pins from 0 to 15, but you know, it's an option. I've got a unpopulated pin, where is it? That unpopulated pin there, is it? No, it's on this side. You've got 2 pins there. Well, the middle of those 2 pins there is the unpopulated one for RAM address 16. But yeah, it is working rather beautifully here, and I am absolutely thrilled with the with what I've got going on. Yeah, I'll show you just now at the end of this video some examples of the kind of stupidity that I had. I've had a lot of issues with, it seems to have found a halt command somehow completely randomly on the data bus. That's kind of cool. Anyway, yeah, so I'm going to reset it, make sure that was actually not just broken. No, can we reset? Yes, we can. We go. No, it's fine. Yeah. So I'm going to right now show you some pictures of what was happening with the shenanigans as I went through the soldering of this. At one point, I had a positive and negative soldered together, and then I think data pins 6, 5, and 4 all accidentally soldered together due to just some solder going over multiple lanes, whatever you call them, on the back of the board. Yeah, there's been a lot of resoldering. I've also finally got round to resoldering all the correct color wires for this. So yellow on that is address, and blue, so white on that is data. And I ran out of yellow when I was originally soldering it up. Oh, it's done it again. It's found another halt.
So I had to basically go through and work that one out. I had to resolder. That caused issues with this. So I accidentally soldered everything, so I wasn't meant to. It's been a bit of a run. It's been basically 2 full days of having to resolder stuff. But I managed to get it done just in time for a short holiday earlier in the week, and now that I'm back, I've been able to actually test it. I had to rush from doing the last bit of fixing of soldering on this off to catch the bus to go off on my holiday. So I never got to chance to test it until I got back. But yeah, it works, and it works very, very nicely. So the last thing I've got to do, which I'll be doing this evening, is I'm going to be adding some switches, a bank of switches here to set data 027, and that's why we've got a manual clock. So if I believe I switch this one here, it switches to manual clock. Yep, and then I can, it'd be hard to do this holding the phone, but I can basically clock through, there we go, you can see, clock through the cycles by hand here if I need to enter some data into one of the registers on the CPU. Now there's also going to be an additional switch attached to these transistors here, and that is going to be, I'll just turn this off. It doesn't turn off properly now. So I'll turn this off here too. Basically what's going to happen with that is that, I know why it's not turning off properly now. It's because these two pins here, right, they're plugged into positive and negative over here and here, but the switch here is not attached to those two pins directly, and so even when this is off, there's still power going through those pins. I should probably fix that. I may not though, because just detaching it from power works too. But at the same time, it kind of makes that switch useless if it's not actually switching things. So yeah, probably what I have to do is go and make sure that that actually wires up correctly in regards to those. That's something else to do this evening. So 2 things. Firstly, add a switch here so that it puts a bit of power through the base of these. Sorry, is it base? Yes, the base of these, so that then they will allow electricity to flow from the switches through to here, but they'll also disable the RAM chip. So I've got to have an additional wire going through from the power switch to the I think it's CE2. If CE2 is high, then this RAM is disabled. So a couple of things to do this evening. Well, it's 9 p.m. It's taken me 3 hours to do something I feel should have taken half an hour if my soldering line was alright, and I didn't. Anyway, point being is it works. You can see here it's now at its more or less finished example. I wouldn't mind getting a little wooden base, but it's besides the point. Now, it's currently reading off the RAM. There's the CPU board at the bottom and the RAM board at the top. Reading off the RAM, perfectly fine. Got some junk in the memory. It's got to address whatever that address is there, and it's found something in the memory. Now what I'm going to do first is I've got all these switches here. There's 9 switches. This one here toggles between using the switches and what's in the RAM. Now, I've set all the switches to 0, which is the NOP command, the no memory access command, which should see us going scrolling through all the memory addresses when I press it. So if I switch to NOP, boom, and then I need to reset the machine quickly. So if I reset the machine here, now it is going through NOP. See? It's going through NOP. It's read what's on the switches, and it's going through NOP. You have no idea how happy I am with this. This took far too long. I had no idea if it was going to work or not. I was terrified. But anyway, if I now switch off the switches again, now we're back onto RAM, and the data lights light up, and the addresses do what they want, double addresses. So we've got the addresses at the top here, that's for full 16, we've got the addresses at the bottom, that's the other 8, and it is working perfectly. I do have a couple of things I haven't set up yet. So these 2 cables here, they are for read and write pins, which I've not currently got set up. So it's set to read permanent at the moment, read only memory. But if I wanted to, I could attach these 2 here to, I believe it is WE and
whatever ones I need to do. I'll change some of these ones over here for these, and then I'll be able to read and write off the CPU, which I will do at some point, but I'm just absolutely stoked at the moment. This is just working the way it's meant to. I haven't had dinner yet. It's 9 p.m. Haven't had dinner yet. I was supposed to have dinner, and I spent my entire time doing this instead. But you know what? Absolutely worth it. I know I'm going to sign off here.